Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with a very special speed build, and this is a huge collaboration involving 14 other simmers, which is headed up by the fantastically talented Chrissie York. So probably around about a month ago now, Chrissie got in touch to ask whether I'd be willing to take part in a group collaboration which involved rebuilding the entirety of Newcrest, which of course I was really excited to take part in. So what Chrissie had done is sectioned up the neighbourhood where the very bottom section of Newcrest was like where all the wealthy millionaires' houses would be, and at the very top of Newcrest was where all the starter homes would be that were built to a budget, and around the side of Newcrest was where all the community lots were going to be built. So we got to choose which lot we wanted to do, and of course I went ahead and picked the biggest lot in the millionaires section, which was the 50 by 40 lot in Newcrest. So today I built a 5-bed, 5-bathroom house, and it came in at just less than 289,000 simoleons. So before I get stuck into telling you all about the build, let me tell you who I'm collaborating with, because I'm really excited. Some of these simmers I know really well, and you may know really well, and others not so well, but I really love this idea because it gives me the opportunity to discover new sims as well, because there's new simmers arriving all the time, and there are simmers, so many simmers as well, that are just I've not discovered and I come across that are really well established. It's a huge community. So the list is Bubbly Zen, Krystal Gamer, SimmerSan, Simarchy aka Steph, Chrissie York, Simz, Havana Sims, Gemini Ginger, Harrie aka Sam, Simply Jodie, MsGryphi, StandingSimmer, HipHipRenee and Bethany Rae. So what I'll do is I'll leave a link to each one of those channels in the description box below, and that way you can see which lot they built and what they did, and I definitely recommend going and checking them out as well. And I'm really excited to view them myself, because obviously some of us had to build starter homes that had a strict budget, or to somewhat of a budget, and some of us did community lots. So all in all, there's quite a lot to catch up on, and I can't wait to see what everybody came up with. So I just want to say as well a massive thank you to Chrissie, who organised this as well. I think it's just such a really nice opportunity to be able to work with other simmers and to come up with something that's so exciting. I mean, Newcrest in anybody's game is just a huge empty world, and it can be quite daunting to think of a way to fill it. So I just thought this was such a fantastic idea. So well done to Chrissie, and thank you for allowing me to take part. So with my particular lot, we didn't have any kind of building restrictions. There was no budget to work to, and we could use as many packs as we liked. So it was literally kind of like a free for all. And I really love that element about this collaboration, because so many of us build in completely different styles and in different ways, and seeing all these lots together is going to be really interesting. Now, we are actually uploading each one of these builds to the gallery under a special hashtag, which is hashtag filling up Newcrest collab. Now, I'll leave that in the description box below, and if you enter that hashtag into the Sims 4 gallery, you'll be able to see a full list of each one of our builds and be able to download them into Newcrest in your particular game. So I feel like Newcrest is quite a sort of blank canvas of a world, really. It's set on the edge of a city, and it's literally just a complete green sort of blank world. It doesn't really have a particular theme with it, like Windenburg, for instance, has lots of Tudor houses. It's a little bit like Willow Creek in the sense that you can just literally build anything that you want in the world and it will just fit. So I decided to go with this particular style of house. It's not any particular sort of architectural type of house. It's just I went with the building and I came up with the tones for the house afterwards, and this is basically how it turned out. So I used a lot of kind of dark brown tones on the outside, and lots of brick and a little bit of white, and lots of wall ivy, and the house just literally evolved as I was building it, and I was really happy with the way that it turned out. So it was quite an unusual design for the house, really, actually, because on the right hand side is sort of like the main body of the house, which includes the second floor that has all of the bedrooms in. But downstairs on the left hand side of the house is this kind of L-shaped section, which included the entranceway to the house, as well as kind of a separate garage area, imaginary garage area. So the floor plan was quite interesting because in the downstairs area, it's absolutely huge, but upstairs, it's a lot smaller. So I did quite like this build because I just felt like it was a little bit different. So with this being kind of like an end game house, I decided to build obviously a lot of bedrooms in it, a lot of bathrooms in it. I kind of imagined that this would be, you know, for a very wealthy family that were maybe generations down the line. Although, to be fair, 289,000 simoleons isn't too bad, I don't think, for this size house. It kind of came out not so bad. I know some of the kind of larger end houses that I do tend to be around sort of 350 mark, so 289 wasn't too bad, but it'll still take some saving. So even though this house is huge, there's actually quite a lot of outdoor space as well. So there's quite a bit of space at the front, and there's a large garden area at the back as well. It's kind of like my perfect size lot because there's just so much space to be able to do everything that I want to do. So I did concentrate on making quite a manicured look to the house. I mean, obviously this was going to be a very sort of, I wanted it to be a very good looking house. You know, if you're walking through an affluent area, you want to be looking at this house and thinking, wow, I'd love to live in that someday, that kind of feel. So it was very manicured around the front of the house, and we had this kind of driveway that led up to one of the front doors. I did actually put two entranceways at the very front of the house. So there's one down at the side of the turret, and there's also like the main kind of entranceway that's near the driveway. So I went ahead and added lots of skill building items in, you know me. So we've got beekeeping boxes, planters at the front of the house, easels, swings, there's a bar area and also a barbecue area. So there's lots and lots to do, and there's actually a lot of space as well around the back of this house. So if you wanted to add anything else in, you know, kind of outdoor activities wise, then there's plenty of space to do that. So if you watch my pumpkin farm build recently, you'll know that I've just recently discovered that we have sprinklers in The Sims. Because I didn't actually realise like how functioning they were until I started to do a bit of gameplay the other week, and someone left me a very handy tip because I was placing these sprinklers in between the planter boxes, but if you use the move objects cheat, you can actually place them and they're hidden right in the centre of the planters as well, so that's quite handy. So I actually did that in this build, and I added loads and loads of planters to the front of this house as well. So there's quite a large garden area with this particular lot. Now initially I was going to add in a big pool to the rear of the garden, but a lot of the time I tend to build pools, and I thought this time I'm going to leave it out and I'm just going to do something a bit different. But like I say, there is absolutely loads of space in this garden, so if you did want to go ahead and change it up and add in a pool, then you're free to do so. You'll definitely have the room for it. So this particular house didn't go without its dramas. Now, as some of you may know, I am actually currently undergoing some renovations on my own house. And this week coming up is like a really big week because we're having the whole of the house recarpeted and a new bed delivered and things like that. And so I've been trying my best to kind of get all of these builds done and get myself fully organised. So Wednesday night, I'd kind of been through and built this house, and I saved it to my Sims 4 library. But I decided to have a little bit of because I'd done lots and lots of different videos, building tutorials and things like that. I'd done another collaboration. So I decided to go through and have a little cleanup of my files, and went ahead and deleted a save file, only to discover when I logged back into The Sims on the Thursday that this house had completely disappeared from my library, along with another collaboration. So I was like, no, are you joking me? And I logged The Sims off, I logged back on, and yeah, it was just gone. So luckily I'd taken a screenshot of the house and I managed to kind of rebuild it. So on the Thursday night, I spent all night rebuilding this house, doing the floor plan, managed to get a few rooms in, and then I saved it, closed the game down, When I came to open it the next day to work on it, lo and behold, in my games library, there was the 2 houses that I thought I'd lost. They just miraculously reappeared in my library. And I was like, are you joking me? So yeah, this house was actually built twice and a lot of work went into this house. So yes, that was quite eventful to say the least. But just to give you guys a heads up for the next month, I've been doing a lot of collaborations over this last month and I've had so much fun. But I'm going to be wrapping up that collaboration series over the next sort of week. I've got one more collaboration to do before I'm going to be switching focus on a few more kind of Halloween inspired builds, and then we're going to be moving into kind of the Christmas sort of Christmassy style builds, which I'm really excited for. But I'm also going to be looking to work on a renovation series, which I mentioned probably weeks and weeks ago now. But yes, I am still going to be going ahead with the renovation series, and once we kind of get these next couple of weeks out the way, I'm going to be releasing a hashtag for you to submit your builds on the gallery for me to renovate. So whether you want to build me something that's run down or you have a build that you'd like me to kind of do my thing on, then you'll be free to do that. So keep an eye out for that. So something else I wanted to mention as well is that even though I'm not currently streaming over on Twitch at the moment, I did decide the other day to change my name from Kim UK back to Sim Kim. I think originally I was Sim Kim Builds and then I moved it over to Kim UK because I was playing a lot of different games, and I've decided just to change it back to Sim Kim because I think that's how people recognize me the most, and it just sort of made sense for how much time I'm playing on The Sims and things like that to change it back. So at some point next year I will be sort of resuming live streaming as well. So if you do want to give me a follow, the link to that, or the new link, is in the description box below. So coming back to the build, I decided to use lots of different tones in this house. I used a mixture of dark woods as well as light woods. There were kind of neutral colours as well as grey tones. There's just a bit of anything and everything in this house, but I just wanted to make sure I included absolutely everything in it. So I did kind of something a little bit different. Now, this particular room that I'm working on is probably one of the rooms that I ordinarily would have used as a reception room. But I decided to go ahead and just make this huge kind of grand dining room. I imagine that the family that lived here just loved to entertain. They had a lot of friends and family, and kind of having lots of celebrations and sit down meals at special times of the year was something they did a lot. So I decided to make this room into the dining room, which is just off the kitchen. And I included obviously the bar area as well as a huge dining room table and chairs. But in the downstairs of this build, there are 2 reception rooms. There is obviously this dining room, the separate kitchen. We've got a study room as well as, I think it was kind of like an activities and skill building room. So I put a piano in one of the rooms with a chess table and bookcase, and there's just absolutely loads to do. I think in the turret in the end, ordinarily I put kind of like a downstairs toilet area, but I decided to change that into kind of like a little bit of a chilled out place where you could paint. So I placed an easel in there and a little chair because I thought the views from that particular room would be really nice and pretty. So I decided to do that with the turret. But there is also a garage area, and I included skill building items in there, lots of junk, counters. There was just absolutely loads in the downstairs area of this build. So I also went ahead and added 3 of the bathrooms in the downstairs area of this house. We had 2 over on the right hand side of the house and 1 that are built just off the garage area as well. So there are a couple of rooms in the house that I didn't include in this speed build, and that was kind of like the garage area, and I think it was one of the skill building items rooms, which was like, I think it was like a music room, but you'll be able to see that if you download this house from the gallery. And it's worth me noting that we are all uploading who are taking part in this collaboration. We're all uploading at exactly the same time, so all of those builds should be available for you to view now on the Sims 4 gallery. So I'm currently just finishing up the main reception area in the house now before moving on to this sort of study area. Now, even though this is a huge family home, I didn't include lots of kids sort of activities and skill building items downstairs, but it's certainly something that you can go ahead, as I always say, and add later on into the build. Now, the bedrooms were personalised, so they did have kind of their own themes and wallpapers and flooring and things like that. And there are activities and skill building items in the bedrooms as well. So I also included some items for pets within this build as well, from pet bowls to cat scratching posts to pet beds, as well as I included, I think it was a hamster's cage into one of the boys' bedrooms, but I'm not entirely sure which pet it is. I always keep forgetting to check because I literally pick the cage and I forget which pet. So yeah, there's a pet of some description in the twin boys' bedroom as well. I actually really love adding that element into the kids' bedrooms because years and years ago when I was little, I kept asking my dad if I could have a hamster, and he was like, no, you can't have a hamster. We've got a dog, blah, blah, blah. And when I was little, I had one of these cabin beds because I had this tiny little box room. And so I had this huge bed that had like a desk underneath it. And underneath the desk was this huge sort of cubby hole. Now, I don't recommend doing this, but it's what I did at the time. I actually went and bought a pet gerbil, and I bought its own little cage with my pocket money. And I put this little gerbil that I called Fred underneath my bed. And for a few days, everything went unnoticed. Now, gerbils can be really quite noisy at night, but for whatever reason, they didn't cotton on, and I thought I'd got away with it. So I had this little pet gerbil underneath my bed, and I absolutely loved him. Now, one day I went to school and it turns out I'd left a lamp on the floor switched on. I must have been seen to Fred one morning, and my dad came in and I was completely busted for it. Now, he made me take the gerbil and its cage over to my mum's house, and he was like, because my mum had kept sort of rodents in the past, and he was like, see if your mother will have it, but you're not going to be able to keep it. So I was really upset. I was crying. I was like, I'm sorry, I'll look after him. Anyway, as we turned up at my mum's house, she wasn't in, so we took it all the way back home. My dad was furious, but after a little bit of thinking, he said, as long as you take care of it and you provide it with the food that it needs, I'll let you keep it. So this little gerbil lived a real long life. I cleaned him out, I looked after him, and he was like a little black gerbil, and he ended up growing really old. I think he was over 3 years old when he eventually passed away, which is quite long really for a gerbil, and he had like this little grey goatee beard. He was really cute. So whenever I think of the sort of putting a pet cage into a bedroom, it always reminds me of the time when I really shouldn't have bought a pet, and I had this sort of friendship with this little pet gerbil. Now, there is actually an extension onto that story, but I think I'll save it for another video, which is quite funny, if anyone's interested, that is. But moving back to the build, I'm just finishing off this twin boys bedroom now, and as you can see upstairs, I decided to build a kind of master bedroom, as well as a sort of teen girls room, a teen boys room / kind of young adult, really. It was quite a grown-up sort of male type room, as well as this twin boys room, and finally this nursery. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give me a big thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, it'd be amazing to have you on board. But make sure you check out all the links below to everyone that took part in this collaboration. There's going to be a real good mix of builds to have a look through. So I hope you all have a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care. Bye.